The Jazz Age was a period in the 1920s and the 1930s in which jazz music and dance styles rapidly gained nationwide popularity in the United States. The Jazz Age is often referred to in conjunction with the Roaring Twenties, and in the United States it overlapped in significant cross-cultural ways with the Prohibition era. Now that we know what the Jazz Age was, let's dig deeper and find out how it affected American modern society.
I see trees of green. I see them blue for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
What you're currently listening to is What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. This piece is one of the most noteworthy and famous pieces of the Jazz Age. Before I explain more, let me give you a little context first. Armstrong was a master of a new kind of music called jazz. Unlike more formal types of music, jazz was hard to define. As Armstrong once said, if you have to ask what jazz is, you'll never know. The new music became so popular in the 1920s that this decade is often referred to as the Jazz Age. The reason why we call it the Jazz Age is because, in this era, the 1920s to the 1930s, jazz blossomed and became tremendously popular. It could be said it was the golden age of jazz. Now to answer some questions from the packet. Yes, Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington was one of the most important creative forces in the music of the 20th century. His influence on classical music, popular music, and, of course, jazz simply cannot be overstated. Bandleader Duke Ellington composed jazz standards that are still played widely today. Duke Ellington was responsible for big band jazz classics such as Take the A-Train, which is what you're listening to right now. He's just one of the impactful people who helped expand jazz to how we know it today. We've talked about the origins of jazz and how it came about, but we never talked about the where. New Orleans, Kansas City, Boston, Chicago, New York, Seattle, and of course Philadelphia were all important places of jazz. But New Orleans is where it all started. Finally, the Charleston. The Charleston was the craze of the Jazz Age and was popular for no reason whatsoever, just like Visco girls and ripped jeans. No reason. In seriousness, the Charleston helped propel the Jazz Age to new heights because it was so irresistible to do and was so easy to learn. It was performed in ragtime jazz, a quick 4/4 time signature, and featured syncopated or offbeat rhythms. In conclusion, the Jazz Age was a very impactful part of our pop culture as we know it today.